It's Kiara at the Jack Bradley Agency. I am sitting down today with Alan Baker. He's a local realtor with Headwaters Realty. I'm going to give Alan just a minute to kind of tell us how long he's been in the business, give his business a little shout out, and just we'll jump into some questions and see what it takes these days to buy a home.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Well,
yes,
thank you, Kiera. I
yes,
appreciate you having me this
yes,
morning. I am Alan Baker. I actually grew up, I'm sort of local here to Habersham County and the Northeast Georgia area. Um, been in real estate for 28 years and part owner in Headwaters Realty for the last, I think it's been about 15 years now.
oh my
They're
gosh,
slipping away from me.
I say,
Yeah, we've really enjoyed the business, just love working with properties that honestly I've known my whole life.
mm-hmm.
Growing up here, I've either um, shown the house or listed the house or went in the house back when I was friends with somebody from high school.
Yes.
So a lot of these properties we're very familiar with, but just really love working in a community that I'm so aware of and so familiar with. It's been fun.
It's super nice. It's
Hmm.
Habersham, White. They're all very connected
They
somehow.
are.
So
Georgia has 159 counties in it. I think that's right. Yeah,
that's crazy.
and
Yeah.
there a lot of our counties are the sizes of towns in other states. So,
Huh.
really and truthfully, we've got about 7 counties or so that we service up in here,
That's awesome.
and it's because they're so the communities really kind of blend together.
Yes.
There's a lot of contiguous movement between Cleveland and Clarksville and Helen and Demorest and even Toccoa.
Yeah.
A lot of folks just really transit in this area, and property lines and county lines just don't mean much up here anymore.
No, that is very accurate. Well, and that leads me into saying, and that's why we want to do this series, is we really want these people that we're serving that feel like family to us to have a leg up
Mm-hmm.
in the home buying process, the insurance buying process,
Mm-hmm.
inspections, home maintenance. That's kind of what our series is about here at
Right.
Jack Bradley this
Great
month.
information.
Yes, so we're going to jump right in. I'm asking Alan some questions
Mm-hmm.
on the if you're looking to buy or sell a home right now, what are some key things you should know?
Mm-hmm.
So, first question, what are the steps to buying a home, Alan?
Well, I'm not sure your YouTube channel can handle that much information, but I will tell you that, after doing it for 28 years and I've done thousands of transactions, it does become a little bit secondhand when you're in this on a day-to-day basis. And
Mm-hmm.
I know one thing that I always try to remind myself is that when I'm working with buyers and sellers, especially first-time home buyers or first-time sellers,
Yes.
that they're not as familiar with this process. And so I try to be really careful about filling them in with a lot of the information that for me may seem a little trivial,
Mm-hmm.
but for them it's critical information in
Yes.
that buying and selling process. The first thing I would recommend, especially from a buying perspective, is to contact a local professional, a realtor. Um, there's so much information and so much that happens in the contracts. I mean, purchase and sell contracts now with addendums and exhibits and all of those kind of things, the attachments that go along with that, can run up into the 30 and 40 pages. It's pretty lengthy.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there, a lot of moving parts. And so you want somebody that can help you navigate all of that information, navigate those negotiations, and navigate the options that you have whenever you're purchasing those properties.
Yes.
You hear a lot of people talk about, well, the first thing you need to do is get pre-qualified. And I would agree with that step with one caveat.
Mm-hmm.
I would say contact a real estate professional
Mm-hmm.
who deals with the lenders in the area,
Yes.
because there's a lot of different ways to purchase property. There are FHA, VA, conventionals,
Yes.
owner financing. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can purchase a property, and there may be lenders that are better suited for those situations. I will tell you that I'm really big on operating locally.
Mm-hmm.
Do business with Jack Bradley because
Yes.
they are local. Do business with Alan Baker and Headwaters Realty because we're local. Do business with the local lenders. Not a real big fan of the big box internet lenders. Those folks just don't have a vested interest
Absolutely.
and your process.
Hmm.
I always tell people I like to be able to, if I've got a problem with somebody that's involved with a transaction, I like to be able to get in my car and be in their office in about 10 minutes and
Yes.
go, what are you doing?
Yes.
So that's kind of hard when they're sitting in a cubicle in Kansas
Yeah.
somewhere. And so I would recommend talking to a real estate professional so that you can understand what all your options are
Love that.
and who might be the best fit for that particular process that
Amazing.
you're looking to get involved with on the properties.
That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. That sounds like a great place to start because I do agree that the world is not the way that it used to be.
No.
People, I think, try to get stuff over on people who don't particularly know what they're looking
Mm-hmm.
for. So I think getting a professional, um, not that anyone is particularly even paid up front for helping
Right.
people,
Right.
but that they just do it because we care
Yeah.
and we know
No,
what we're
absolutely.
looking for. So I agree with
Absolutely.
that.
Got
That's
got to
awesome.
walk through the process and deal with people you can trust.
Yes,
All right.
yes, yes. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, talking about that, how competitive would you say the market is right now from the buyer side versus the seller side?
Yeah, so the market's gone through numerous cycles over the past 28, 30 years, and it does change
Hmm.
from time to time. The market is very fluid. We just came off of a really, really strong streak through the last 3 to 4 years, even close to five now, where it was primarily a seller's market.
Right.
I mean, there were a lot of transactions back in 2022 where people would stick a sign in the yard and you'd have five offers by that afternoon.
Yes.
And they were above list price and very competitive, and
Hmm.
people were waiving all kinds of options in the contract. So that, however, has normalized. I won't say that it's necessarily a buyer's market right now.
Hmm.
I would say that it's the market's probably closer to parity. We're still dealing with 56 days on the market, which is not bad. But I mean, you're coming off of markets where they were literally, in the teens.
Yeah.
Okay. But days on the market has actually lengthened a little bit. This time this year over this time last year, days on the market are actually about 8% longer. So sellers are having to wait a little longer
Hmm.
for the right buyer. Buyers have more to choose from.
Right.
Okay, so inventory is up
Hmm.
in Habersham and White County as of this morning. There's about 25% more listings on the marketplace than they were this time last year. So buyers have more to choose from. So they can be a little more picky. They can be
Right.
a little more negotiable. Um, Sellers overshot the market. We've seen a lot of people who were living in that 2022, 2023 world trying to sell in 2025 and 2026.
Yes.
And prices just kept going like this. And
Hmm.
so now we're beginning to see those prices playing out. We're seeing a lot of price corrections and price improvements in the marketplace. Sellers are taking price reductions to get more activity and be a little more competitive in this marketplace right now. And that's critical for the sellers to know. Again, one of the reasons you want to talk from a selling perspective, one of the reasons you want to talk to a professional is to understand what the market is doing right now.
Right.
I was dealing with somebody the other day, and they said, "Well, I've got an appraisal from 2024 that said my house was worth this." Well, 2024 was starkly different market than where we are now.
Okay.
And even in the last 6 to 8 months, we've seen a lot of fluid movement in the marketplace. And so it's important to talk to somebody who has their finger on the pulse
Right.
of what's happening right now, what's happened in the last 3 months, because that's what's going to dictate, your evaluation on your property. From a buyer's perspective, you
Hmm.
want to know that you're making a competitive market, or a competitive offer, but also one that is beneficial to you as well. So,
Right.
looking at all that data, looking at what properties have sold for in the last 3 months is just really critical to either a buyer or a seller's process right now.
That's super good to know because I do believe that it is very different. I had a conversation at dinner last night about interest rates on our
Uh-huh.
homes. I
Mhm.
purchased in 2021. So you can imagine I will be buried in my backyard. I will not
Yeah,
leave
three
my
and a
home.
half percent or
Yeah,
something
it's
like that. Yeah, yeah.
3.1.
You know,
Yep. So yes,
there
I
has
will
been
not be
some
leaving.
correction actually, just from a buyer's perspective. There's some encouragement there. I think last week we saw 30-year come right under that 6% mark.
That's
They
good.
broke that ceiling, so like 599 or something was the national data. So
That's
getting a
incredible.
little more competitive. And I think if we're in the mid fives, I think that I'll be
Yeah, that's
honest with you.
average.
I hope we never go back to 3.5. It was
Yeah,
just too high.
it was.
And
Yes.
so I don't think that was healthy for our marketplace. I don't think it
Yes.
was healthy for the consumer or the economy. So I feel like we are coming into a place where things are getting competitive for the buyer
Mm-hmm.
and beneficial, so that you can buy the house that you want, and it's a little more affordable when that interest rates is a little bit lower.
Yes,
So.
that is awesome. Good deal. So, with that being said, do you think this is a good time for someone
Mhm.
to start looking for a home?
Okay, so I'm going to make a little bit of a general statement
Yeah.
here, and that is when I first got in this business, went and talked to a gentleman up in Raven County. Um, he was a realtor for years and years and years,
Mm-hmm.
longer than I had been alive at the time, and he made a statement. He said, "Real estate's been good for 50 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be good for 50 more."
That's
And
right.
I have to make that statement. I don't think that there's necessarily a bad time or a good time. If you're looking at real estate from a long-term perspective, which you really should, unless you're an investor out there, are there different times to buy and sell? Sure.
Right.
Maybe that's a little different question, but from an owner occupant, if you're looking for a property you're going to call home,
Yes.
then I don't think there's a bad time to buy or sell. I feel like when you're looking at long-term investments, 10, 12, most people that purchase properties today they'll stay in the property for at least 10 years. Used to be it was about 7 years. We see people staying in there a little bit longer, and it's probably because they got a great
That's
interest rate, right?
it. Maybe that's
And they're
it.
hanging on to it. But no, when you look at real estate over the long
Mm-hmm.
haul, it is one of the greatest investments that you'll make,
Absolutely.
and one of the ways that young folks and people in our country build wealth.
That's yes.
The number one way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know that there's really a bad time.
That's
You
good.
can't mark the market. If you do that, you typically lose.
Loose. Yep. I've
Yeah,
heard
every
that.
time.
That's good to know. That's awesome. So, getting into the logistics of it, of
Hmm.
questions that I feel like someone may come to their realtor and
Hmm.
ask. Um, so, if I'm looking at a listing online, do
Hmm.
you think there are certain things that I or a consumer should be aware of that would pop up as a red flag to not
Yeah.
go look at something like that?
Well, real estate is such a personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
It's um, uh, really hard to say whether a particular property would be red
Yeah,
flagged.
but,
There's every property is worth a certain amount,
okay.
no matter what.
Right.
Okay, and so uh, you know, I came from the era when we had a lot of foreclosures,
Right.
represented a lot of foreclosures.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking into some of those properties when I was listing them for the bank that was selling them, thinking, "Oh my gosh, how can anybody make this place a home?" Because a lot of people had a lot of pent up anger back in those days, and
Absolutely. Yep.
there were a lot of houses that were destroyed on the way out.
Mm-hmm.
They were in really depressed neighborhoods where there were a lot of foreclosures going on, and so when you look back at some of those, and I've actually revisited a lot of those marketplaces that I worked in that time frame, and I look back and those properties have thrived now because they had people that came in and actually saw the potential in those properties, made those properties their home,
Mm-hmm.
and have invested themselves in that community.
Okay.
And so you see a lot of revival in that sometimes. And so it's really hard. Again, this kind of boils back to speaking to the professional, because
Absolutely.
if I knew exactly what your preferences were,
Yes.
if you have certain school districts, if you have certain price points, if you have um, um, you need to be close to certain amenities in the community,
Mm-hmm.
then those will help me better understand what properties might work or might not work for you.
That's good.
Um, If you are not a handyman person, then you may not want to. You may want to understand that an 80 or 90 or 100-year-old home might not be a good fit for you,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
so we would want to make sure that you understood the consequences of purchasing a property that might need regular maintenance.
That's true.
Or and so red flagging a property, I don't foresee that really in any situation other than how it boils down to what you communicated with your professional.
So personal
And so,
preference.
what are you looking for? What, how would this property meet those needs, or more importantly, not meet those needs?
Correct.
So those are conversations that you can have with your professional that I think would better help you understand that.
That's cool,
Mm-hmm.
Alan. I like it. So, guys, if you heard anything we've said today, everything points back to not that you need a professional,
Mm-hmm.
but that a professional, someone who's been in the business and has the knowledge, can help you. Personal preference, of course, for your realtor or your insurance agent
Mm-hmm.
or your mortgage broker is top of
That's right.
mind. But it's always nice to have someone maybe hold your hand a little bit through the
Right.
process,
Right. Right.
and guide you. But Alan, I just wanted to thank you for
Yeah.
coming today, answering
Gosh.
our questions, and
Yeah.
helping out our friends
No, we
online
appreciate the
here.
opportunity and
Absolutely.
appreciate what Jack Brackley does.
Yes,
You
sir.
guys do a great job for me,
Yes, sir.
and personally, and I appreciate the expertise
Oh,
that you share with me because you guys help me think about things that I don't necessarily think about, and that's why your professional opinion is so important to me.
thanks,
And
Alan.
so I feel like we can offer that same service to the people out there, and look
Yes,
forward to doing so.
I like it.
Yep.
Well, we'll post Alan's information in the comment section, or we'll attach it to this video. So you guys just stay tuned, and we hope you have a happy day.
Yep.